All right, so shall we get started?
Yeah.
When was the first prototype for AdSense created and by whom? Does anyone know? We have a hand up there. Gentleman in green. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. You still get a mug for the effort. So how many of you know when the first prototype for Google was created? Google search engine, like the first version. Yes, here? Close enough?
1996.
For Google search engine, I'm asking you. 2000? Is 96, I hear. Who said that? There you go. That's the correct answer. It was 96, and initially it was called another name. Does anyone know what that was? Correct. There you go. Back rub. Okay. The next. So this was in '98 by Gillard Elbis and Adam Westman. Now, what was AdSense called before it was renamed to AdSense? Not AdMob. Sorry. No. Sorry. Sorry. AdWords, no. You should have attended the session before this. You would know what's the difference between AdWords and AdSense. Anybody else? Give it a shot. Sorry. It was called Applied Semantics when Google acquired it and then changed it to AdSense. One last question. So how many of you are AdSense users here? How many of you have an account? Okay. Okay, you have an answer to this? Okay, when? Do you know?
The last one was done almost a year back in the new interface reporting.
That's correct, in 2010. And the first one was, well, the first ever interface we had, which we acquired in 2003. So that's the only two times. You get another mug, sir. All right, so I hope we're all sort of back in the mood and, looking forward to seeing what AdSense has to offer. Quick look at what we'll do today. We'll take a look at what Google AdSense is about. How does it work? What are the key benefits of using AdSense versus the other networks which are out there? Some of the key policies and features, and some other publisher solutions we have launched in the recent years. Okay? Now, just to get a sense of how familiar you guys are, have you guys heard of AdSense, used AdSense before, currently using? Anybody who probably knows it really well? Okay, so this is a very basic session, so it looks like most of you are not very familiar with AdSense, so this is probably the right information here. So what is Google AdSense in one sentence? Anybody wants to give it a shot? Right. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Okay, okay, brilliant, brilliant. So it's a flexible, hassle-free way to earn revenue online. So it basically connects the advertisers, the publishers, and the users. And here you can see the example of a page where you can show ads which are blended along with the content. There are different kinds of ads you can show. There's an image ad with a lady at the bottom, and there's another text ad shown. So it's a very easy and simple to use platform. You just generate a snippet of code, and you can start displaying ads and earn revenue. You can also earn revenue across all inventory that you have. Let's say you have a mobile site, or you have a whole lot of videos which is probably hosted on YouTube or any other video serving platform. Or if you have a game-specific site, we have a product which is designed specifically for different kinds of inventory you offer, like AdSense for content, which is for sites. There's AdSense for games. There's AdSense for video. There are a whole set of products specifically designed for these different kinds of inventory that you have to offer. Now, how does this work? So AdSense is, as most of you mentioned here, it's an intermediary which connects different parties who are involved. So as a publisher, the publisher will choose what kind of ads does he want to show. It could be image ads. It could be interest-based ads. So let's say I, as a user, I go to ClearTrip and I'm booking tickets. Okay? So I probably look at what is the rates right now to travel from India to US, but I don't really book the ticket. Now I go back to TechCrunch and I see a ClearTrip ad which says tickets to US, cheap prices, whatnot. So this is when I'm being followed as a user, and although I'm looking at TechCrunch, which doesn't have anything to do with travel, I see a travel ad because it's relevant to me. So as publishers, you can choose to show interest-based ads as well as placement-targeted ads when advertisers say that we want to show our ad on this particular site, not by contextual targeting, but just because we know it's a branded site and we want to show it there. Advertiser. So he creates campaigns. What kind of targeting? So do I want to target people who are reading news websites, who are looking at travel websites? What kind of ad do I want to show? How much am I willing to pay? Now, after that, the auction will match the ads. So we have like 100 impressions available on the publisher's site. The advertiser is supplying us with ads. And when the match happens, we display an ad on the publisher website. Now, once the website has displayed an ad, we invoice the advertiser. So he pays us for the click, and we, in turn, pay the publisher. And AdSense for Content, which is the most popular AdSense product, we have a 68-32 rev share, where we give 68% of what the advertiser pays to the publisher. All right? Showing the right ad at the right time at the right price. Now, this is something we're really good at. If you look at a lot of other offerings in the market, it's not very contextual. You might see the same ad again and again. It doesn't really look at the content or the interest of the user, and hence, it doesn't really deliver value to the user. If I keep seeing the same ad again and again, I sort of develop an ad blindness. I'm not going to look at that ad. Whereas if it keeps changing depending on the content and my interest, and it's being given to me because I'm a targeted user, that delivers the maximum value for me as a user, for the publisher because he gets a lot of good, valid clicks, and the advertiser because he gets the business that he wants. We have access to hundreds of thousands of advertisers. So even if your business is only in India, if it is in different countries across the globe, but you have an office only in India, you can continue to monetize your web traffic well because somebody sitting in a village in Barcelona somewhere, he would see an ad which is relevant to him, and you don't have to do anything except putting the snippet of code. So irrespective of where they are sitting, which country the traffic comes from, we show the right targeted ads. And creative ad formats. Like I said, if you have a video content, you can show an ad which is a pre-roll, as we call it. It's an ad that is displayed at the beginning or before the video is played. Let's say it's a playlist. After 2-3 videos, you want to show an ad. Or if it's a game, after a level, you want to show an ad. All that's possible through customized solutions. So here you can customize not just the formats, but also the way it appears. If you have text content on your site, which is in the color combination of blue and red, you can have your ads appear in the similar fashion. If you use a certain font, you can have a similar font or something that matches the font of your site be displayed. You can also select the font and font size. So it keeps changing depending on the theme or the color combinations that you choose. Now, different solutions across all your inventory. So there are contextual creatives, which means if I'm looking at a page which talks about, let's say, Java, and the algorithm, it picks up Java, but it also looks at what else does it talk about. Java could be the programming language. It could be a cup of coffee. It could also be the island Java, right? So we look at what are the other keywords used on the page, along with Java, put together, what does it mean? What is the semantics of that keyword group? And that is how we decide what is the context of the page, and we deliver targeted ads. We have expandable ads, which is something we recently launched, where you hover over the ad and it sort of expands, it takes up space. It's a very interactive ad format. We have pre-roll, post-roll. We also have video overlay ads, which it has a limited launch in India right now. So now we know what is AdSense, how it works, how it benefits the different users, publishers, different parties involved. Now, what are the key benefits? Apart from other networks who also offer, what are the main benefits of using AdSense? One is hassle-free revenue. So it complements the primary source of income. If you're an e-commerce site, you probably already have a source of income. This provides an alternate source. Or if you're a blogger who likes to just sit at home and do blogs, write things, do what you love, you can do it and still not spend any money because you're generating revenue through AdSense. Maximum revenue for every impression. Now, this is something which a lot of my publishers keep telling me, that Google is the only network which can do this for them. No matter how many million impressions they give us, whether it's 100,000 to 2, 3, 4 tons of millions of impressions, we always fill every impression. And that's only because we have access to the largest network of advertisers. Now, high customization, as I mentioned, you can customize the look and feel of the ad. We continuously innovate. So you see new ad formats being launched, new ways of targeting, and we launch it as soon as it's out there. And we always focus on the user. So no matter what kind of, sometimes publishers come and tell us, let me show more than 3 ads on a page. I have a long page, I want to show more ads. But we keep in mind the interest of the user, the advertiser, and the publisher, and hence we have some policies in place which ensures that you get a really good and stable source of revenue, and at the same time, the interest of advertisers and users are also taken care of. We also have Google certified ad networks. Have any of you used this feature in AdSense? Have you ever read about it? Okay, we have some hands. So this is when Google has partnered with a lot of other networks out there who have specific features, who have specific things to offer. And along with Google AdWords, we also show ads from these networks. So in some countries or in some cases when targeting options, when Google does not have the adequate amount of ads, or if we feel that an ad from another network is what's going to offer you a higher price, we show that ad. So we already do all this work for you, and all you have to do is just use the same snippet of code for AdSense, and you can access all these features. We look at where visitors are, where visitors have been. Of course, this is depending on the cookies and cache information on the browsers. And we make sure that the ad that they see is the most targeted ad. Now, with remarketing, an interesting scenario is when, let's say, I visited ClearTrip, as the case before. And I've reached a particular step in the pipeline where I could have bought the ticket, but I didn't. Now, the next time I visit a page, let's say, thehindu.com, I see an ad which says cheap tickets. The next time I visit another page in the Hindu, like let's say I click on a link and go to another article, I see something which is logically the next step of the ad. So first it says it's cheap tickets, then it shows me cheap travel options if you bundle hotels together, and the next one says how some Forex related credits that I can get. So you can actually connect, as advertisers, they'll connect the ads which says that these are the 3 ads which I want the same user to see in a same sequence, and we actually control that, and on your site, as the user progresses from page to page, we show them ads which connect. Yeah? Yeah. And advertising innovations grow as the demand for your inventory also grows. We have more buyers, we have new formats, we have better targeting and better insights. So if you use AdSense reporting effectively, it actually tells you what are the sections of your page where you should be focusing more, because more users are interacting there. So it's sort of like how your analytics account tells you. You can link your AdSense and analytics account, and then it tells you where do you get most of your traffic from, and it maps it to the maximum revenue generating pages. And then if your priority is in generating more revenue, you can invest in those sections more. You can also complement this with your direct sales efforts. So once in a way, maybe a Citibank or somebody comes to you and says, you want to buy out this one spot on your page. But that doesn't happen all the time, right? Even for big publishers who have millions of traffic, millions of pages of traffic, it doesn't really happen. So you sort of complement it. At any time you don't have a direct ad, or if the direct ad is in fact not paying you a high enough CPC or an eCPM, you can backfill with AdSense ads. So that way, every impression is accounted for. We also have very stringent quality approval process that goes through. So you will not see ads which are shoddily created. You won't see spelling mistakes in ads. You won't see ads which are which talk about alcohol or other policies which we have. So those kind of ads are already filtered out, and Google takes care of it. So you always have what we call family safe ads. So these are clean ads which any kind of user can see. And of course, in different countries, we have the option where you can opt into some ads which does not fall into this category if you are a publisher who would want to use that. Now, AdSense policies. So in Chennai, actually, we didn't cover this particular section, and we got a lot of feedback from you guys, and that's why we've actually included this here, just to talk about AdSense policies in very brief. So a lot of times, publishers come up to us and tell us that, policy send me an email, and my account is, it's been deactivated. Has any of you here got a policy email? Anyone here? A few of you guys? Okay, yeah. So the most common reasons is because the ad code has to be on family-safe content. So we have family-safe ads, and hence the content that you show also has to be family-safe. Sometimes when publishers have sites which deal with wallpapers, or it could be movies, sometimes it's content which is questionable, and whenever in doubt, we say remove that content or don't put ads on that page. Because the ads which come right next to your content could be from an advertiser who, whose sentiments it's against to actually show his ad against that content. So we always say that you should show ads only on pages which have content which is family safe and which is by Google policies. Avoid accidental clicks and unnatural attention. So the first time I joined Google, 5 years back, I had an AdSense account. The first thing I did was I went to my site, I saw an ad, I clicked on it. Okay? So it's like the most common thing people do. Because you're very curious, oh, there's an ad on my page, I want to click on it, I want to see where it goes, how does it work, do I see an impression in my account? But this is something we tell publishers they should absolutely not do. We have technology in place, which is not just internet ISPs, it's not just the login that you're using. There are a whole lot of signals we use to understand if the clicks are valid or invalid. Now, if you keep clicking on your ads, it shows us that out of 1,000 clicks which you have generated on your site, about 10, 20 of them are bad. Or let's say 100 are bad clicks because you yourself clicked on it. This means the advertiser is not getting any value, and so we can't charge him, and hence we cannot pay you, right? And this is a bad user experience. We have to actually spend time. We have a person, like people who sit and check if this is actually correct or not. It's not an algorithm that just looks at all these signals and makes a decision. They only give us signals, and there are real people who actually check and verify that these signals are correct and then take an action. So you should always give the best interest of the user, advertiser, and publisher in mind and not click on your own ads. We have a feature called Ad Preview Tool, which lets you do exactly this. So you can go to the preview tool, you can see your site with ads, and you can actually click on them, see where it goes, play around. It doesn't affect your site's performance reports, but please do not do this on the page or the live page. Content is king. I mean, I don't need to say anything more, right? A lot of you will have really unique and very valuable content which you develop in your blogs. If somebody else is going to scrape this content and use it, there will be hundreds of websites with the same content, and that doesn't really deliver value to our publishers or users, right? If I, as a user, can see the same content in 15 different pages, that doesn't really deliver new value to me. And hence, you should always make sure that you show content which is really relevant, which is original, and which you yourself have created or you have ownership to show. For best targeting results, copy AdSense code exactly as it is. So a lot of times publishers try to play around with the code, change it a little bit so that targeting can be changed. Now this is not something we allow. If you make changes to the code, that means we cannot do our job properly. We won't be able to track your performance correctly. We won't be able to help advertisers track the performance of their ads, and users might end up seeing mistargeted ads. So please do not change the ad code, paste it exactly as it is. And don't create multiple accounts. So a lot of publishers create multiple accounts in the hope that, maybe I have 5 websites, I should create an account for each website. You don't have to do that. One account for any number of websites, any kind of inventory you have to monetize. And monitor any user-generated content. So that could be a place where users can log in, they can create their own blogs, sections on your site. Forums are the best example. There might be users who leave content which is not in line with Google policies. There might be spammers who leave links, right? So if you have a UGC forum or a UGC content page, make sure you have people monitor it and remove any content which is in violation. We will send you an email with a warning and 3 days to actually take an action on it if we find content which is in violation and ads alongside. But it's best that you don't really show this content at all, because after a series of warnings, we sort of disable the account. All right? Some of the common violations, so you can see on the first ad, this one right here, in the first ad screenshot which is given, it says, users, in case, click Google Ads to support us. So I mean, that's something where you're inciting the user to click. So even if it's somebody who comes to your page who doesn't really want to click on those ads, they probably end up clicking after seeing this message. So you can't really post any messages which incite users to click. That's a very common violation, and we shouldn't do that. Video. Now, ideally, this is allowed, but here the reason why we say this is not allowed is because the ad they have placed is an AdSense for content ad. So that is meant for websites, and this is video content. So if you're placing ads on a video, you should use the AdSense for video product. Because if you don't use the specific products, we won't be able to target it correctly. Yeah, are we clear? All right. Some special features that we have, which every publisher should be using. Yeah? So placement targeting, I told you, it's a feature which AdWords advertisers use very actively. They want to see what kind of sites they have to show their ads on. Now, if you want to let advertisers find your inventory, you should opt in to being visible for placement targeted ads. Now for image and rich media ads, don't keep your ad units, image only, text only, video only. That's not allowed. I mean, it's your choice. If you want to, you can do it. But we sort of recommend that you show image and rich media ads because we don't know which is the highest paying ad at any moment. So if you opt into all formats, then it's very likely that you'll see an ad which goes well with your content, which pays you well and is relevant to your user. Interest-based advertising, Google certified networks, and updating your ad planner listing. So these are options which are available in your account. If you opt into these features and also give information about your website, what kind of users you have, sort of like a media kit that you prepare for your website, if you can upload that information onto the ad planner listing, we'll actually use that to get more advertisers to advertise on your site. You can filter out competitors and categories. So specific domains, your competitor domains, or your own domains, if you don't want them to show up, you can actually filter those out. You can even filter out specific categories, like you don't want to show ringtone ads, you don't want to show music-related ads, or politics, you can filter those out. You can review your ads and advertisers who are targeting you through the Ad Review Center. So this is what I mentioned a few slides before. You can actually see who are the advertisers bidding. It could be, if you have a car-related website, if you have advertisers who are totally different, and not really relevant to your pages bidding on your site, you can actually try and find out why is that happening, and can you actually do something to monetize on that? You can make decisions based on that. Actionable insights. How are different ad units and channels performing? Where are the visitors coming from? What is most valuable to me? You can make these different kinds of decisions by looking at the reporting and understanding what sections of your page are most popular, what should you do to actually make these sections work better for you. And these are the decisions which you can actually do on a daily or a weekly basis. You can even see where do I lose people? Analytics tells you that I'm losing people in these particular sections. So are you effectively monetizing your exit points? Are you capitalizing on that? So these are checks which you can do to ensure maximum revenue. So this shows how the AdSense Advanced Reports and Analytics sort of links in to help you make these decisions. The different options that are available, there's content, search, for mobile content, video, games. So these are just a few products which are available. There are a whole set of products which we keep launching. We also ask for people to sign up during beta launches. So please be sure to check our blog and G+ pages for updates and opt into these beta requests. So we only support IAB standard ad sizes and formats. So we say that these are sizes in which advertisers create ads. So when you create content, when you design the web layout of your page, keep this in mind and have ad slots which fit these sizes, which are close to these sizes so that we have enough inventory to actually show up on your pages. These are examples of some publishers we have in India who use AdSense in a big way to supplement their ad revenue. Very popular sites, and if these sites can do it, why not your publisher sites? And I'll briefly touch upon some other publisher solutions like DoubleClick and the Ad Exchange, which we have launched recently. So essentially what DoubleClick does is it helps you monetize and sort of manage all your ad inventory. So let's say you have AdSense as a network. You have multiple other networks who are also participating. You also have direct ad inventory. You also want to promote your own sites on your on other inventory that you have. So what DFP does is you can define all your inventory and make sure you allot the necessary impressions, the correct number of impressions for each network. You can also make AdSense compete with other networks and make sure that the maximum CPM is obtained through each ad impression. So here you can see how directly sold ads, indirect ads, everything is sort of competing with DoubleClick, and it ensures that you have the maximum value for every impression. Yeah, and these are the different targeting capabilities available within DoubleClick. So you can target by browser, by network structure, bandwidth. So if somebody is on a lower bandwidth connection, you don't want to show a rich media ad, you can probably show a text ad. You can even give keywords and key values. So let's say you have a site with login information. Your users are between the age group of 15 to 25. You can actually give these keywords and values and show ads targeted to these features. What time and day? If you get a lot of visitors during the night, then you probably want to keep your high-value ads to be displayed in the night. If they're coming from another country, then you can target it to the specific country, and even domain and ISP. So here with a dynamic allocation, you can maximize revenue. So let's say a directly sold ad is giving you $2. Another network is willing to pay you $3, and AdSense is probably paying you, let's say, $2.50. You can also say that if it's at night, let AdSense win. In the morning, let the direct ad win. So these kind of customizations at an ad unit, at an impression level, is available by using DoubleClick. And these are just some useful links, to see what kind of new features we launch and actually sign up for AdSense and DFP. Are there any questions I could answer at this point? Okay, sure. So eCPM is earnings per 1,000 impressions, okay? So how do publishers earn? When somebody clicks on an ad, there is a CPC, which is cost per click, the advertiser is willing to pay, or there is CPM, which is cost per 1,000 impressions, right? So if you get 1,000 impressions on your page, any number of users could click, right? Out of 1,000, you might get 50 clicks, 60 clicks. It really depends on what kind of users come. So in that case, what is the average you can earn for every 1,000 impressions? Because you have to get estimates before you get started, right? So depending, of course, it depends on CTR, which is click-through rate. So for every 1,000 impressions that you get, how many people click on your ads? That's CTR. Although it's highly dependent on CTR, we in general say that eCPM, or earnings per 1,000 impressions, to denote a site like yours with the kind of traffic you get, how much could you potentially earn for every 1,000 impressions? That's eCPM. Yeah, that's what I said. It depends. It's a factor of CTR, people actually clicking, as well as how many advertisers are actually bidding on CPC, which is click-based, or CPM, impression-based. So for the 1,000 impressions that you get, let's say 200 impressions were sold on CPM, which means the advertiser is paying by impression. Then you'll earn for those impressions. The rest, 800, is by click. Then it depends on how many users click.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Right. Right. See, that depends on how the advertiser has structured his campaign. If he has structured it saying that for every impression, let me pay, then you get paid for the impression. We can't really track if that user is going to buy it from, offline, right? So it really depends on, he could either have a campaign which is run for impressions or clicks. It depends on what you qualify for at that time.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Sorry?
Here, top of the balcony. Here, straight up ahead. In the balcony.
Oh, okay. Hey, sorry.
Is there any benchmark for CTR?
A benchmark for CTR?
Yeah.
Well, we noticed that for article or news sites, it's actually higher versus if you look at a site which really talks about, let's say it's a search engine. The CTR is probably low, well, like a classified site. And e-commerce, again, it's high. So I can give you sort of market averages, but you really can't say if it will be indicative of every site because it largely depends on traffic.
Yeah, ma'am. But I have seen Indian traffic gets much more CTR than foreign traffics like, say, US or UK. So actually, I want two sites, which has a basic of Indian traffic. When I first applied for AdSense, they haven't approved my account. But
okay.
After several attempts, I got my account approved. And after using it for 3 months, they just banned my account, telling me that I'm getting fake clicks. But what do you know? I'm getting Indian traffic. Does that mean Indian traffic is considered as a fake traffic?
No, absolutely not. See, I would say it's a myth if you say Indian traffic versus US traffic in general, high or low CTRs. It actually depends on the content, and it also depends on the user. So you can't really say it's by geography. And I'm sorry to hear that your account was banned, but it's probably not because of only clicks which are coming from a particular geography. We have like 120 signals that we look at. So it's a combination of these signals based on which we make a decision.
All right, thank you.
All right.
One question here.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, my name is Vijay.
Hi, Vijay.
I'm a blogger. So, first of all, I'm really happy to talk to someone from the AdSense team because honestly, from past 3 years, I could never reach out AdSense team at all. A couple of questions or probably a feature request which I would expect as a publisher. Point number one is the account credit. When you send the checks to India, still it'll be better if you can enable more of an online transactions for Indian banks as well, because waiting for a courier is a little bit of pain.
I hear you.
Point number one. So second thing is most important for me, or else mostly for the Indian publishers, is that if I'm looking at a name change for my name change on my Google AdSense account, it asks me to suspend my account and then recreate a new account because name change cannot happen on the account. For example, if I want to just remove my initials, that cannot happen. Right? But that facility is available on most of the other regions. One, I want to understand why exactly it's not done in India, because India is known for the place where the ladies, once they get married, get their husband's name and second name, and if they create an account, they can't use the new checks with the old name. And again, I don't want to take a risk of removing or else deactivating my account and creating a new account and wait like the gentleman who sat there for 6 months to get my account activated.
Got it, yeah.
So please take this as a feature request or as something which you can get it sometime in the future. That'll be great.
Yeah, let me actually address those questions. The first one regarding payment transfers. So we've actually been trying a lot to get EFT, electronic fund transfer, launched in India, or even Western Union, which is probably an easier form.
That's true.
But we have actually faced a lot of tax issues with the government, and that's the reason why the launch hasn't actually taken place. So we're actively trying as a team. The thing is, we don't have an India entity who pays out AdSense publishers. It's the Dublin entity which pays.
Okay.
So we have a US entity and there's a Dublin entity. And because of that, because there is no India entity, there is some legal complications and tax regulations which we are trying to figure out.
Right.
But let me assure you it's on the way. It should come soon, because as matters with the government, we can't really guarantee. But it's definitely something we are working on.
Okay.
The second point regarding the name change. Now, this is a feature which is not available in specific countries.
Exactly.
Because we have noticed an increase in the number of spammers or people who actually try to game the system and come back by changing their names. And it has been highest in India and a few other countries in Southeast Asia. Now, this feature was available until 2009.
Oh, okay.
And in 2009 is when we rolled it back for certain countries because of the high spam rate. And like you said, in India, we also notice a lot of people have initials. There's no expansion for the initials.
Exactly.
It's just the initials. So it's really difficult for us to make sure that this is the right person and he's actually not a spammer coming back. Now, I understand there are certain specific cases which are actual cases, relevant cases. So what we have done now is about 6 months back, we've actually allowed you to keep your original account while you're using it. Okay. You create a new account, and then once there's a form that you fill when you get,
that's true,
you know that form, right?
Yeah.
So once you fill that form, somebody at our end actually looks at these two accounts. We try to understand if it's a valid name change request, and then we allow you to keep your old account active before we activate your new account. Okay. So for 2 weeks, you have both accounts active. We give you 2 weeks time to migrate code from the old to the new. We also, any earnings accrued in the old account, we transfer to the new account and pay you in your new payee name.
Fantastic.
Yeah? So I think the process change has actually helped a lot of people. We have heard better things now.
Oh, yes,
so I hope
because running by Citibank for 15 days is a pain for me.
I know, I can imagine. I'm really sorry you had to go through that, but the situation has changed.
Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome.
So, one question. How do the Google differentiate between the true invalid clicks and fake invalid clicks? Because say, if I am a publisher and I am showing ads on my site, so anyone can see that the ads are coming from Google, and my competitors or say someone who doesn't like me go and they know the policy, they keep on kicking, and because of that my account gets banned. So how do you differentiate between these two scenarios?
Okay, very good question. So what we do is the kind of clicks that come in, we determine if it's invalid not only by the location or the ISP from which it comes. There are a lot of other signals that we look at. You know, some of these things are which we cannot really share in an open forum, but there are signals. So it's not one thing. It's a combination of, like I said, 120 signals that we look at, which tells us that, okay, we are really sure that this publisher has given us invalid clicks, and it's over a period of time. So if your competitor tries to do this for, let's say, 1 day, 2 days, for a certain amount of time, we also look at your activity before and after, and the amount of invalid activity which was there. So it's a combination of things which actually determine if it's an invalid click. That said, we also have a form on our help center which says that if you notice an influx in impressions on your page, it's probably because your competitors are clicking, it's probably because you launched a campaign on TV, you are really seeing an increase in traffic. These are things which you can let us know so that our team is in loop and they sort of understand and keep these things in mind while reviewing your account.
So just to extend that,
Yeah.
like I own a site which is educational in nature.
Okay.
So, and most of the colleges and institutes, they don't have specific system IDs, right? They have routers and then one hub, and each of the system flows through that. So it also creates a kind of fake impressions, right? So because of that also some accounts got banned.
Okay. See,
Yeah,
we have,
my account got banned, that is why.
I'll be happy to look at your account in particular, but we have a lot of exam sites where traffic spikes at the time of, either results coming out or applications being sent out. There's India results, a lot of sites like that. And we actually have worked with the publisher to, make sure that only the actual invalid clicks are tracked. So I would encourage you and everyone else in this room who is facing a similar situation to fill out that form and actually reach out to us so we can actually work with you in ensuring that we don't suspend your account. I'm very sure that if an account was suspended, it would not have been in an incorrect fashion because somebody actually sits and looks at these signals and manually does this work. You can also appeal and get an answer, but your specific case, I will look at it.
Excuse me.
We can take this offline.
Just one question.
I have
This-
one more query. Yeah, up ahead here.
Okay.
Oh, you?
In the balcony.
Okay.
Yeah, one more query. Actually, I told you my account was banned because of illegal clicks.
Right.
What do you mean by that? Actually, will you completely disable the website from getting AdSense incomes, or will you just disable my account?
We'll just disable your
What I'm
account,
telling
is
is, will it be possible for me to add AdSense account, some other AdSense units in that site and get income from that site?
Well, it depends on the case. Sometimes we suspend the account, sometimes the website. So it really depends on your case.
Okay.
All right, let's take this offline in the interest of the group, if that's
Yeah,
okay with you.
Yeah. This question is related with video monetization on YouTube.
All right.
Recently, they have changed the theme. And now, whenever we upload a video, we directly apply. Previously, we used to have a comment line in below the request where we can put the comment that this video belongs to this, and all. Now, what is happening? Out of 10 videos, whenever I upload a video, out of 10, only 6 got approved, and 4 gets in pending. After 1 day, one mail pops up. We need additional documentation to approve your request. So what happens? That request takes 15 to 20 days minimum. Sometimes it got up to 1 month also. Sometimes it get approved in 2 months. 2 weeks. So in that period, we lose a lot of revenue. All the videos got approved later. There's nothing. So I just want to know first thing that how they are deducting it. Means it's a algorithm or a person is approving those videos, or the second thing is if it is a algorithm, then why not the format which you are using before, where we have an option to put the comments. Right now, I searched through the forum, also the YouTube monetization. Most of the people are facing this problem because the most number of traffic we get through our subscribers on the YouTube channel are in the initial period. And for that period, we don't have ads on our video. So it's really hurting our revenues.
It's great feedback. I'll definitely take it back to the team. But just to let you know why we changed the process. So what we notice is that when we give this blanket form, which anybody can fill in whatever form, we notice it takes a lot of time for our team to go through it because it's not in any particular format. And a lot of times, even though you give this information, it's not correct. Like you probably don't actually own the content, or there could be any kind of violations. So we notice that it's only creating overhead internally, which is the reason why we've actually taken that away. And we ask if we actually need to verify. And to your question about if it's a person doing it or if it's an algorithm, it's a combination. So there's an algorithm which runs and gets certain signals in place and helps us decide if the video should be approved immediately or not. And I understand it's probably taking more time and it's affecting your revenue. So I'll definitely take this feedback to the team, and I'll try my best to see if we can probably bring the box back.
Because the thing is, sometime I get, if it is a person or algorithm, just take your words, okay, it's both. I get a mail of copyright claim on the music, where there is no music on my video.
Okay.
So it happens to me. If a person is doing it, I don't think so if my SN looks like a music.
Okay,
Right.
I'll definitely take your feedback, and I'll see what we can do about it. Thank you.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
I'm actually new to AdSense. I don't know much. I mean, I've not tried that enough.
Okay.
But I have a basic question. Like, I mean, for bloggers right now, I mean, there is no AdSense, right?
You can
what
use
I mean,
ads
what
for
I mean
blogger.
is not for the website where I can write blogs, but there are bloggers, right? For example, Google Blog is there,
Yeah.
on which when we give that web address URL, it says that this is a blogger. You will not be allowed to add this.
Sorry, you're saying Google blog account, Blogspot?
Yeah.
Talking about Blogspot and WordPress blogs where people
Right.
Okay, so I mean, WordPress and Blogspot are definitely sites which we allow, but we have noticed that a lot of people who sign up with WordPress or Blogspot don't provide us sites with good content. So if your site doesn't have enough content and good content, we'll reject the site. It's common among bloggers because it's no real investment, right? You can sign up for an account and just immediately submit it. So a lot of people tend to do that. I would suggest that make sure your site has original content and a considerable amount of content, not just a post or two. Know that there's a series of posts and it's actually adding value to the users, and you will see that your account is approved.
Okay, and one more question is now, it's on a lighter note. I saw the video which says that on Gmail, while we are browsing through the mail, we see an ads around which talks about the words that are there in the mail.
Right.
And it says that mailman is posting and he's reading all the mails, right? I think probably from Microsoft, I believe. So I mean, do you want to comment on that? I mean, is it like that? I mean, are we kind of taking away the privacy from the users?
Absolutely not. So it's the same algorithm which shows ads on any other site. We're not reading your content. It's not stored anywhere. We just skip through the page to understand what it's talking about. We pick keywords to show ads. But we can't really say that you as a user, sorry, what's your name?
Ramdas.
Kamdas. So we don't know that Kamdas as a user is getting an email about, I don't know, an event happening in Bangalore, and that is why we're going to show these ads, and let's keep doing this to him. So the whole interest-based aspect does not work with Gmail. Whatever content in your Gmail, there's nothing that we store. We just look at what content is there and we show ads. So it's definitely not infringing your privacy.
You just said, my name is Amit.
Hi,
You
Amit.
just said that being as an assistant, generally you do not prefer the WordPress and the Blogspot. So my question is, in case if I shift my site from WordPress to custom-made CMS, so will I see any sort of surge in terms of CPC or something?
So I don't think I mentioned that we don't prefer WordPress or Blogspot. What I tried to mention was we see a lot of people giving in applications with WordPress or Blogspot with no or little content. But that said, if you've heard of labnol.org, he's one of the biggest tech bloggers, he still uses WordPress. So we definitely don't penalize for the CMS platform that you use, and I wouldn't say that shifting from a platform would actually give you better CPCs, unless of course that's actually delivering better value to your users, and it's easier for them to navigate, and hence the user itself probably clicks on ads in a better fashion, so that probably delivers value, but I wouldn't say CMS standalone gives you any specific benefit.
Okay, given a chance, if I'm allowed to ask that besides content, what is that one tip which can improve the CPC?
I would say design, because I've seen a lot of publishers who have great content, but it's just not put in the right format. It's not easy to navigate, it's not easy for users to actually find it. So I would say if you spend time in actually designing your website, focusing on your users, you'll definitely see a bump in your earnings.
But that will give the CTR. CTR will get increased.
So
not the
CTR
CPC.
and CPC are interlinked, right?
Yeah.
If out of 1,000 users that come, if 900 users are actually clicking on your ads and saying that it's actually benefiting and converting, that means you'll get better ads, which means your inventory is now more valuable to advertisers because it's delivering value. So they'll have to bid higher. We have something called, we have a quality score or whatever. I mean, there's a number which we assign to every publisher account. And as that goes up, depending on the value you deliver to advertisers, the more expensive the ads are on your site.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, I'm Danish.
Hi.
I'm
Danish.
a YouTuber. Is there any limitation for YouTube account getting linked with AdSense account?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Is there any limitation for YouTube accounts for getting linked with an AdSense account?
AdSense account. No,
like if I have more than 5 or 6 accounts in YouTube, and can I link all with the one AdSense account?
No, actually you can link one YouTube account and one AdSense account. Ideally you should have one YouTube account. I don't know why you have 6, but you can link only one YouTube and AdSense account.
But earlier I had more than 2-3 I had.
Right.
Everywhere ads were running.
Okay.
But now only in one, like in one account itself the ads are running.
In that case, you probably had multiple accounts with the same Google account. We can look at your case in particular, but ideally it's just one account. It's one analytics account, one DFP account. You can only link one.
But in one of the forum in internet, I've heard that we can link more than one account.
I would say that's incorrect. We can look at your specific case offline, but that's not allowed.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Excuse me?
We have time for 2 more questions.
Excuse me.
One question I'll ask.
Can I just take his question first? Yeah.
You are from India. I think you can understand this. Why don't you approve Indian languages for AdSense?
Okay, good question. We are actually running a program where we are running ads on vernacular languages, Indic languages. So if you look at Manorama Online, Mathrubhumi, or Daily Tanti, Dinamalar, if you look at Bhaskar.com, so these are sites in vernacular languages, you will see.
I'm asking for bloggers.
For bloggers, yes, I'm coming to it. So we are actually testing it in these sites to see how it's working, because the algorithm, the crawler really cannot look at content which is not in English and understand what the page is talking about and effectively render ads. So we are trying this program. We are looking at a lot of popular sites which has content in vernacular language and see how we can make our product more robust and then launch it for everyone else. So it's been about 1.5 years we are doing this testing. Hopefully it will launch soon, but this is definitely a project that we are working on, and it should come out soon.
If the site is eligible, will you send a mail or we have to ask if there is any?
Oh, we'll send out an email.
Oh, okay. And why the Indian bloggers, sir, have to wait 6 months for the approval?
See, 6 months is a number which people are just talking about. Ideally, if you have a blog with good content, and it's not just 1 or 2 articles, you have a series of posts which shows that you have worked on the blog, it will get approved no matter how old the blog is. So I would say focus on actually making good content and creating good content than the age of the blog, to sort of play around the policy. Just focus on the user, create good content, and you will get approved.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Rameshwar. I am already running the AdSense for last 2 years.
Okay.
But I'm really scared now. Suppose tomorrow I have lot many sites now, 5, 7, 8 sites where I'm running. I'm really scared because Google has not paid me a single penny so far. They're getting accumulated. But tomorrow, for whatever reasons, you guys change some policy or something happens, and you suspend my AdSense accounts. Will I get the threshold amount or no?
It's a good question. See, ideally, I would say. Okay, so we pay, the payment is a monthly 30-day process. So if you have earnings in January, it's processed in February and you get a check ideally by the end of Feb or first week of March. So it's a 30-day cycle we have. But we say that you have to cross the payment threshold of $100. So without that, we don't issue a check because there are Forex charges and it's difficult to actually, it doesn't make sense for us to issue it before that. That said, if the nature of invalid activity, so there are different ways in which we take action. Sometimes we notice that, let's say you earned $1,000, but out of that about $200 is due to invalid clicks. We just reduce the $200 and we'll pay you the $800, which is valid. But let's say over time, the kind of violation that we see on your site is really high amount of spam, then we suspend the account. So in that case, all your accumulated earnings also gets refunded back to the advertisers. So it's on a case-by-case basis. But if you've been a publisher for 2 years and you've maintained a good history, then I would say don't worry about it.
Can we use the same AdSense code on 2 websites?
Yes, you can. You can use it on any number of websites.
Why not on YouTube?
Sorry?
Why not on YouTube?
That's because the product is different. It's video content. So then there is a different code that you have to use. That's why. All right, one last question. Yes, so that actually, I mean, I won't be able to just talk about it in a couple of sentences. We have a session tomorrow on that in detail. If you're here, I would encourage you to attend. Essentially what's happening is once we acquired AdMob, we have these publishers who had AdMob code, and we have publishers with AdSense code. We are now migrating the products together. So whether you have a desktop or mobile website, you will use AdSense. And if you have an application, you will use AdMob. All right?
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
She's available outside. You can meet her at the booth number 1. And Parvati, we have a small little caricature of yours, which was made right here, for you. Can you have a big hand for Parvati? Thank you so much.